Okay, so once again, congratulations on the short list of your book, The Road Does Not End, for the Nigeria Prize
Right.
for Literature 2024. Last year, your
Thank
book, When Big Masquerades Dance Naked, was
you. Yeah.
longlisted. So,
Yes.
do you feel as if you're a step closer to winning the prize this year?
Well, the short list is a step closer. Yes, so we can say that it is a step closer. Yeah.
So, how does it feel making the shortlist?
I think it's a very good feeling. It's a very good feeling when you think about it, and also the fact that also a validation. I would say the validation quality of the work that you're doing, and also a validation of the time and also the years that you put into your craft, into improving your craft, and all of that. So it's like a stamp of approval. So it's a very good feeling for a writer, really.
Okay. So, this prize has been on for 20 years. It's 20 years now. What has your experience been? Was last year the first time you'll be submitting your book?
Yeah, it was the first time. It was the first time I also submit like my book for the prize.
Okay, but you are not new to winning award. You are a veteran with Anna. So give me the hack. How do I write a book that will be shortlisted that will win an award? Give me what I need to know.
There's no secret or hack or anything. No, just write, and that's all I say. So we're not. The thing about it is that we're not writing for the prize. We're not writing to win prizes. We're writing, for the sake of writing. We're writing to get our voices out there. We're writing to capture emotions, and I know we're writing to be honest. Really, I think it's that honesty that eventually, whatever it is that the judges see and feel that okay, this is deserving of a prize. So don't write with that in mind that, okay, I'm writing towards this particular prize. That's my destination. No, your destination when you're writing should be that honesty, should be that, making sure that your craft is as authentic as possible. And of course, that your style is also impressive as well. So when you have all of that covered, I think it's just left to the judges to, when they see it, they can just tell that okay, yeah, this is work that has quality in it. So just keep the price out of your mind when you're writing. Trust me, that's how it works.
Okay. Now, the road does not end. It's about child labor, resilience, and the triumph of hard work. Tell me what inspired that.
Yeah. Um, of course, definitely in our environment, we see a lot of children, street hawkers, and all of that is connected to the socioeconomic dysfunction in the country. Most of the times when you see the government address it, they address it in a way, because that also happened in the book. Some of the ways they address it is you're banning street hawking. But then street hawking is not the problem. The problem is not that children are out there in the street hawking. No, there's an underlying problem of poverty. The poverty levels are very low. They are like about 50, more than half of the population living under the breadline. So if we're not dealing with that economic problem, we're just addressing something like street hawking. And then also another thing that also inspired that is also the problem of out of school children as well. Now, many of those children that are out there in school, according to the Child Rights Act, 2003, they're supposed to be in school because they have a right to education, but they can't be there. So the Child Rights Act is just there. You're saying that they have a right to education, but just like I said, there's an underlying problem of poverty. If we're not dealing with that problem, how are they going to be able to afford any kind of education? And we're talking about quality education here. So it's just looking at all these things, holistically, that just inspired the book. That is so much. So I just took it as one child. So just addressing, the matter of taking the story of one child. But that one child is representing about the 18 million out of school children that we have in Nigeria. So that was mainly the inspiration.
Okay, so your book can be described as honest and profound. Tell me about the characters in the book.
Okay, like I said, like I mentioned, the main character is a boy. There was no age to him, boy. He could be 9 years old, he could be 12, he could have been any age, but he's a child. He's a child that is supposed to be in school. So he's the main character. All the other characters revolve around him. And he's a first person child narrator. So he's one narrating this story. So definitely the entire story revolves around him. His name is Real One, and he's the one that's trying to get through all the adversities of straight from the first page. He loses his parents. Now it's even worse because he doesn't even know that his parents have died, but he just knows that his parents have disappeared. So that kind of keeps the suspense also in the book as well. So he just knows that his parents have disappeared. So the interesting thing also, since we're talking about the characters and characterization, is that his parents don't appear in the book. Like I said, they have disappeared, but they are also very important characters in the book as well. Because with every step that he takes, they are there in his memory, in him trying to navigate the grief and also navigate the sense of abandonment. His parents are, in that as well. So his father and his mother are also major characters, even though they don't have any lines, they don't have any appearance in the book. So, we can say they are invisible characters. Then there's his auntie as well, who is also one of the major characters, who, of course, that people might say is the stereotype of the wicked auntie. But I think when we look at it closely, is not really thinking about it in the context of wickedness. I think it also has to do with poverty as well. There are levels of poverty that come with frustration, and that frustration sometimes gets manifested as what we call wickedness, what we call malice, and things like that. The person might not necessarily want to be that way, but the person is going through so much, economic challenges, which they are not, many of these things are no cause of that person. The way the government is running the country and a whole lot of other things like that. So there's his auntie as well, which, like I said, we're just going to say she's wicked because of how she was treating him. So she's the one that forced him into street hawking, which takes us to the other characters. So when he gets into the street and he becomes, a hawker, he meets, all these other children that are out there in the street. And that's like his first introduction, really, to seeing that there are children out there in the street that are hawking. And it was a shock to him from someone that came from a family. He was the only child. He's the only child in his family. Came from a family where he has been protected, where he has been mollycoddled by his parents. So he has not been exposed to the street. He has not been exposed to these things. And then, he's just thrust out there into the streets and he sees all these characters. Now, another main character from the street was the person who now eventually became his friend, Moshood, who, both of them, they formed a bond. Moshood had saved him from an attack where they were going to rob him of some money. So Moshood is another major character. And Moshood also disappeared, at some point, which added to the grief of, the child narrator, the main character, Real One. Then another main character, also Saka Pepe, who is a man that throughout, or almost throughout Real One's journey, he had been appearing and disappearing. He had been almost kind of like a ghost. And interestingly, he was always in white, some kind of representation of a ghost as well. So he had always been appearing and disappearing. But then what Real One didn't know was that Real One was always trying to, run away from him, detach himself from because of the trouble that he had brought to him through his auntie. But he didn't know, and that's how fate works sometimes. He didn't know that this person was going to be kind of like the conduit, the channel towards the path to his victory. It was definitely going to play a very major role in him fulfilling his destiny of becoming a musician and even continuing his education as well. And really, when we think about it, that's how life is. Sometimes you don't know who it is that is going to help you along the way. You're just out there evading that person or evading a whole lot of things. So that was that character of Pepe, who was a manager for a big musician, a big Fuji musician, Alaji Danko. That was another major character who also was another person that helped. Sorry about the background noise. That had helped Real One to achieve his dreams as well. So yeah, I think that's about the major characters that are in the book. Yeah.
Okay, let us go back to the prize. What do you think the Nigeria Prize for Literature? What do you think it does for writers and literarists in generally?
For writers, like I said initially, it's first of all, we have to say because of the how am I going to put it now? Because of the quality of the prize and also because of the prestige that I've had over. We all know 20 years is no mean feat. How many prizes can have existed for that long? It's no mean feat. So because of the prestige that they have been able to get by administering this prize in those 2 decades, Writers trust them. Readers also trust them. The entire literati trust them to be able to pick some of the best writers. So I think that's one thing that it does for literature. It builds that trust, between the literati, the literary community, and also, the writers as well. Then for writers, it helps them with that validation. Yes, people will say that you're a writer or you're an artist, so you don't really need the validation of anybody to let you know or for you to realize that you're doing a good job. But when you have prizes like this, and when we look at the quality of the people that are the judges, the people on the panel, the advisory panel, and things like that. So that they definitely know what they are doing. They know about this particular work, whether it's literature, whether it's literary criticism, whether it's science, because there's also a science prize as well. So you can trust them to always pick the best. So for writers, it's a very, 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 very great validation of the work that they are doing. That is a stamp of approval that whether it's the long list, whether it's the short list, whether you win, you are all winners, and you guys have done a very, very great job. So when you want to write your next book, you have that at the back of your mind that, I was on the long list. I mean, that is a big boost for my ego. I'm going to put in more effort and make a better work for whatever is going to come next after that. And that's a great thing for a writer. Like they always say, you're just as good as your last work. You're just trying to get better, really. So it's a great thing that they are doing.
So what will you do when you win?
I don't know why people like to ask that question. Even though I answer the question, everybody answers, but I don't think when you really think about it, I don't think you don't know what you do until you win. If we are going to be right, and this is the first time I'm actually saying this particular answer to anybody. When you think about it, you really don't know what you're doing. It's when you win that you can't plan and be like, when I win, I'm going to jump up, or immediately I'm going to buy a house, or I'm going to donate to this. I think it's when you win that you're going to sit back and think about it, that okay, what's going to happen? How are you going to react to this? What exactly is the next step for you in your literary career as well? So trust me, I don't think I know what I'll do if I win.
For a writer operating out of Nigeria, how easy is it to get your books published?
It's not. I think fate had played in my own case. Now I'm talking about personally. Now fate had played a role in me, because I believe I've seen writers all over the place that haven't been published. We see them all over online. They get published online, because I know you are talking about traditional publishing, putting your books out there and all of that. But we see writers getting published in journals. We see them self-publishing on platforms like Medium, on social media platforms, and all of that. And they are very brilliant writers, very impressive work that they are doing, but they are not published. They have no books out. They are not published traditionally. So, like I said, in my own case, I think it had to have been fate. I was noticed by a publisher, of course, my work. I'd be putting out my work published in journals, and all. And then I think they just took interest in me. And I think about 2 or 3 other writers at the time. That was in 2014. And I think it was easy for me. That's what I'm saying. This is from personal experience. So it was that easy. But I know for a fact, because in that time I've interacted with a whole lot of writers, and it's not easy. Now, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It is not easy. And I think part of the problem is that how many publishers do we have? Publishing also is not a very easy business in a country like Nigeria. There's no business that is easy to run in Nigeria, really. And then publishing, we have to remember that first of all a business. Yes, you want to put out literary work and all of that, but you also have to make profit. It's a business. You have to be realistic about that. So the question is, how easy is it to run a business in Nigeria? How many people want to invest in publishing in the first place? So we don't have that many publishers, but we have millions of writers. Who is going to publish these people? Because it's not going to be easy to get them published. But don't stop writing. I think that's just it. Don't stop writing.
Okay, you just answered what my next question was going to be. Given all of these challenges, what would you say to someone who wants to publish?
Yeah. First of all, don't stop writing. That's why there's the place of fate. There's a place of your destiny. The world that we live in is not just the world as we see. There are a lot of things that are happening, in other realms that are putting things in places which you don't know anything about. So what you can do, which you don't also have control about, but what you have control about is you putting in the work. I know there are people that want to give up because, I'm 10 years, nobody has noticed me, I've not been published. I've been sending out manuscripts. And also, I think we have to give kudos to publishers as well. They send out this call out for writers. I've been sending out work to these publishing houses. There's been no callback. Nobody has said that, my manuscript is ready for publishing and all of that. I think one thing else, it's good that you asked this question. I think something else that I would also say is that, and that is why it's also important that you don't stop writing. Sometimes what you are sending to those publishers, or why those publishers might not even be paying attention, is because they probably haven't seen that quality they are looking for. Which will now take me back to that thing that I said, don't stop writing. It might be a cliche, when they say practice makes perfect, but that's what it is, really. You might say that, this is a cliche thing. But it's if you keep doing it, that's how you get it. I'm not saying I'm the best writer, now or anything, but I look back at some of the things that I wrote in maybe 2004, or I remember the first short story I wrote in 2007. When I look back at it now, I if not for sentimental reasons, that I just still keep it because it was in longhand. I'll burn it, like I'll take it, just trash it down. But why am I still keeping this? But I kept, that's 2007. That's 17 years. I kept on. I didn't say, because to me that was great. When I'd written that, I felt. But why I can look back at it now and laugh at it and hate it is because I got better. And how did I get better? Because I kept writing. So that was just the advice. Whether you get published or not, trust me, if I didn't get published, I'll still be writing. That's the thing. So the passion has to remain there. You have to remember the passion has to remain there. You have to keep writing, whether it's on your Facebook, whether it's on your Medium, whether it's on your blog. Nobody is going to say that, don't publish on your blog. You own it. So whatever it is, just keep putting your work out. 5 years, 10 years, you get to a point where someone sees an improvement and they're like, you don't even need to send anything to them. They call you and be like, okay, you know what, we're looking at another set of an agent, a publisher, whoever it is, just gives you a call. That's right. So just keep on, with it. I know it's hard, but yeah, keep doing it. And on the final note, I have to say that I'm grateful to NLNG. Grateful to NLNG that they are doing this. And this is not because, I'm on the long list. I've been saying this for a very long time. And why I'll keep saying is that if we look at Nigeria, how many prizes reward writers like this? It's something, is not about, even like I said, even before I go on the long list or on the short list, yes, there are a lot of criticism, there are a lot of things that we can criticize, but then the winner takes it all, you get all of that. People have written about it, gone back and forth about it. But if we look at it relatively, we look at it objectively, how many prizes are rewarding writers? And that reward is important. If it wasn't important, we won't have the Nobel Prize, we won't have the King Prize, we won't have any prizes. If the reward wasn't important in any field, we won't have the Grammys or the Oscars. Yeah. So NG took it upon themselves with a very huge prize, and they are doing it. But if you don't like it, you start your own prize, and you have a format that really works. The more prizes, the better. I mean, I just said it now that we have millions of writers who are not getting published, but if they win prizes, it's fine for them. So, big kudos really to NLNG. I have to be honest.